And then this bit, I think, is also equally important and probably equally neglected by many companies. When you ask a customer, look, okay, I've lost my money. I've sent this money to some guy in Lithuania and I never got the iPhone that he promised me. What do I do now? Well, I say, what would you like me to do? What is it that you actually want? Well, first of all, I'd really love my iPhone. That's what I want. And secondly, okay, if there's a problem with the iPhone, can I have my 200 quid back, please? That would be my second thing. And I go, okay, great, those two things. And they go, well, there's one other thing, actually, I would really like. I'd like justice. I mean, that guy should not get away with that. And I feel it's principle. I feel personally violated by the fact that he did that. And people are vociferous about that. That's what they want. So, for that reason and many others, we want to try and get these people out off the street behind bars for our customers, but obviously to get them off our platform and away from us. So obviously we work closely with soccer and heavily in PCEU and various other different people, organizations globally around the world. Lots of things again, wow, bombarding with information, but you know what? The key takeaway from this slide is the balloon impact. You cannot focus on one of these areas. If you want a true risk management strategy, you've got to look at all of these areas. You might be very good at detecting and getting stuff off your site, it's off your site. But guess what? The couple of people that get through, the criminals that get through, are not being caught. There's no follow-up. They're just going to come back and keep trying, and eventually, they're going to scale up as they learn the ways through your systems. Or on the other end, you might be very good at all this stuff, but you've got a bad reputation for some reason, and you're not managing the reputation management. How do you tell people, inform their decision? They're being misinformed by some other channel, and no one's coming to your business. So you've got to do that. You squeeze one end of the balloon, the other end goes up. You've got to try and encapsulate the whole balloon. Very important, I think. Just a couple more slides. So on key concerns, people always ask me, great, Gareth, you can talk about all this stuff all day, but can you narrow it down just to at least something? So I'd say these are 5 things that I would call my key concerns, in no particular order. But first of all, the general lack of awareness and action against e-crime. I think, and by the way, I second everything that Ed has said about e-crime Wales. I think it is a standout organization that many people could learn from. And again, I was honored to have the opportunity to speak here because it's a great organization to be associated with. But I still think generally out there, outside of Wales, certainly, there's much more that can be done. Much has been done. I remember having these kind of conversations 4 years ago and going, well, nothing's being done. Well, now we can say, actually, a lot has been done, but there's still a long way to go. And that's everything from consumers knowing what the issue is and taking responsibility, to industry doing the same thing, government doing the same thing, law enforcement doing the same thing. The rapid spread of malware, 600%, that's a number that you can't ignore. This is a big problem, and we need to do all we can to prevent that. And if you associate that also with phishing, phishing has not gone away. It will not go away. As long as there's people who think emails are to be trusted, there's always going to be an opportunity. And I think the frustrating thing is here, social networks and this whole UGC, user-generated content. The internet increasingly is not, the content on there is not written by me or people at PayPal or people at eBay or people at Microsoft. Increasingly, it's written by you. It's written by the users, everyone out there. When I post up videos for everyone to go look at. I blog, I tweet, I do, we all do that. Well, guess what? Those are great opportunities for people to distribute malware. Because I take over your account, and I've got access to all your friends on Facebook, all your connections on LinkedIn, all the people that you are following on Twitter, whatever it might be, your PayPal account, your eBay account, your bank account. Boy, I'm suddenly out there. It's a marriage made in heaven, or hell, depending on your perspective. But it creates a lot of opportunities for bad people. Globalization, we talked about it. There's borders out there in the real world. There's no borders in the virtual world. It's a real challenge. We might be very good at managing e-crime and have law enforcement fully engaged, but if they don't everywhere else in the world, you spend most of your time trying to break through the bureaucracy and the politics to actually get something done. That is a challenge. And finally, bring it really down to earth, the ease of access. I'm no techie expert, but I know I can go somewhere right now and buy a website in a box, and within a few hours I can have a website up and running that looks pretty good. I mean, it's got all the bells and whistles, nice colors, it looks super professional. And it's just me in my lounge typing it up. And that's scary, because it doesn't take much to look very professional and trustworthy on the internet. And sending emails, you can create HTML email just by copying someone else's HTML code. You don't have to be a code junkie. and then change a couple of things in there, and you know, you're redirecting people to your site. Very scary, very easy to look trustworthy on the internet. And finally, closing thoughts. So I'm trying to angle this to be helpful for people. Like, what do we do at PayPal that maybe people can learn from, and hopefully I can learn from people later, as I said. First of all, it sounds simple, and it's not rocket science, but get management on side sooner, because you know, I've definitely worked at different organizations where it took ages to get management on side. First of all, it was my problem. I wasn't speaking their language. I get that. Secondly, it was, you know, leaky bucket syndrome, right? And we're growing so fast. We've got so many new people coming on board. Gareth, I'll get to that later. And then suddenly that growth just tanked out, settled down. You know, we had high penetration of a market. Wow. Now suddenly we realize we've got huge holes in our bucket. Why didn't we invest in that sooner? Invest right in the beginning. Develop a broad risk management strategy. This is the balloon effect I talk about. Look, we don't all have millions to invest. You do need to prioritize, like with everything else, and allocate resource. So be very honest with yourself. Prioritize the weak areas in that, you know, that user experience flow that I showed. But try to manage the whole piece, or else the balloon effect will come into, you'll see it happen. Constant innovation, right? This is the purple cow, black and white cow thing, right? Purple cows get noticed, black and white cows don't. If you constantly innovate, if you don't constantly innovate, you're going to get left behind by the criminals, who do, by the way, constantly innovate and are always testing the system. I always feel like the job is never done. I don't know if you've seen that movie Terminator 2. I know it's a bit old now, old Arnold Schwarzenegger one, but the second generation, what was Arnold Schwarzenegger? I don't know if he was a robot or a cyborg or whatever the right word is, but the second generation of him was that kind of younger blonde guy. And every time he got shot or blown up, it was just like a pile of mercury on the floor, and it all gathered together, and he reshaped himself back into his old self. And he could change shapes, and he could walk through, you know, like jail bars, and he would just kind of melt around it and then reform on the other side. This is what I feel we're up against. We're up against that guy. They're reforming, they're molding. You blow them apart, they come back together. It's a constant battle. The job is never done. And finally, forge strong working partnerships. I think partnership has been maybe I remember being at an e-crime conference in London about 2 years ago, and every time the word partnership came up, everyone started laughing, because this was like the fourth conference where everyone was talking about partnership, we should all work together. Well, you know, maybe it should be a different word, I don't know, but I think the good old-fashioned partnership word works well. I do believe it's about partnership. In the internet industry, you hear a lot now the word co-opetition. You know, what does that mean? Who are our competitors? Who are our competition? And who should we cooperate with? Well, guess what? You've seen Google and Yahoo working together. You've seen Microsoft and Google working together. You've seen all these companies where before you went, whoa, you know, competition, keep it all secret. Well, guess what? In this space, it's about co-opetition. We need to work together in order to further our own best interests and that of the internet as a whole. And there's lots of people. Internal stakeholders speak their language, I was saying. Do you need marketing to help you? Do you need product development to help you? Customers, obviously, law enforcement, industry partners, government policy. You know, you could go on and explain why each of these are important, but I'm sure you understand. And I'll just leave with this quote. There was a summit that was held, and it was done under you know, anonymous rules, so you couldn't assign a name to this. It might have been Ed, for all I know. But what they said I thought was very interesting. The real problem is not the individual loss, it is the systemic risk. So this is where fraud and attacks undermine either trust in or the functionality of the system to the point where it becomes unusable. Now, I'm a glass half full, positive thinker type guy, which is maybe unusual in risk management, and I don't think the internet's going to go away. I think it's something that will be a wonderful resource to us for many years to come, if not forever. But it's something to think about, right? If people just lose trust. I remember 2 years ago, Get Safe Online did a survey, no, maybe longer than that, 3 years ago, did a survey, and 17% of people they surveyed said they'd had a bad experience on the internet and were never going to come back. They just did not trust it. 17%. Maybe a bit high, but nevertheless, that's a big chunk. Even if it's 2%, it's a lot of people who we've lost, all of us have lost as customers or friends or whatever it is that we need on the internet. So something for us to think about. And on that note, I'll end and hopefully have a chance to answer any questions later on. So thank you very much.